In episode 2, I installed a 12-volt roof vent fan into the topper. In episode 3, I covered installing a 270 awning on the passenger side. In episode 4 of this build series, taking a used ARE commercial truck topper and turning it into the ultimate truck bed camper, I'm going to show you guys how I installed these RV windows. My name's Shane. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get started. I started off by getting some basic measurements of the door and all the framing and the overall layout. The door has these cross pieces and I'm going to have to cut those out and then grind off the aluminum welds. I want to get the two windows centered perfectly between the back of the door that opens and the handle. And I want to try and get them as close to center as I can right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get them exactly centered because this bar that runs across the bottom of the door is 2¼ inches. And when I measured up, it's not going to be exactly centered. But as long as I get them even here and, as even spaced as I can, I just don't want anything to look odd when you're standing back and looking at it. So I made sure to take account for all my measurements in here. Like I said, this bar running across the top comes up a little higher, so I have to move the windows up a little higher. If I centered the windows right here in between the top and the bottom bars, then they would just be kind of free floating on this thin aluminum. And I'd rather rest one of the windows on the bottom cross piece so I can get that clamping pressure between the window and the trim ring. So I'm gonna cut my hole in the door right along this bottom aluminum bar that runs across the bottom of the door. So I'm gonna measure up 2¼ inches and make a couple marks with a Sharpie, and then I'm gonna measure in 4 inches this direction and about 4 inches this direction and kind of center my template. And I'm gonna take my little speed square here and just come up 2¼ make a mark, up 2¼ make a mark, and that's where the bottom of my template is going to go essentially. And then we'll make a mark coming in 4 inches from this handle this direction, 4 inches this direction. So that kind of gets us uniform look on each side. And then if I come in 4 inches this direction, it should match up. We take our template there. It's just a hair on the inside of that mark. So I'm going to drop my template to those bottom marks, 2¼ up. And that's where I'm going to draw my straight line right across. I'm going to do some double checking here. We got nice straight at the top. You can put painter's tape on here to hold your template in place, but unless you think you can just hold it nice and steady, that should be good. Cutting those holes in the topper was nerve-wracking, but it turned out great. Now we could get the butyl tape installed. I just ordered a 45-foot roll of 3/4 inch butyl tape off Amazon. This worked great to adhere the windows to the topper. Since I mounted the windows so close to that bottom frame, I had to trim up the trim ring to account for that bottom piece. I just trimmed off a little section of it and slid it into place, and this worked out nicely. Ultimately, the topper is going to have plywood over all the windows anyways. You'll see that in a future video. So I didn't really care if these got damaged or scratched or anything like that. I found out that a woodworking glue brush worked really well for cleaning up the butyl tape. The scraper end of the brush just took it right off. Then you could clean it up with some isopropyl alcohol or Goo Gone, and it would clean up real nicely. Now we can move to the second window and do the same process over again. And I also did the passenger side window, but I didn't film any of that. I figured showing the driver's side was plenty. Same process went on the passenger side. Butyl tape, install the window, and then I cut my trim ring to fit, and it went in nicely. I debated on installing them this way where I had to cut the trim ring, but ultimately I wanted the windows to be centered from the top to the bottom on the outside. If I had moved the window up on the door, I could have gotten away without trimming the trim ring, and it would have just installed normally. But I liked the look on the outside with the window being spaced evenly from the top of the door to the bottom of the door. Just gave it a nicer look. So it wasn't a big deal to me. Like I said, it's going to get covered in plywood anyways, and it will hide those trim rings. I feel like we need some more right here. So I'm going to push it down in the gap there. And then I will go back with the glue brush and get it out. This thing scrapes it out nicely. And I'm just using some Goo Gone here to clean up the excess around. Takes it right off. Give a little clean to the outer edge. We are good to go. Now we have to put these little plugs in. These things just push in. This little tool works good to get these down in their spot too. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed the installation of these RV windows. In the next episode, we'll be doing insulation and plywood on the inside of the topper. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that and all the future videos in this build series of taking a used commercial truck topper and turning it into the ultimate truck bed camper. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.